If you go in your notebook, this session is just blanks, and the reason why is because of what you're about to watch on the video. So you just follow along with the video and follow along with what she has for you, but I believe this will be very helpful for you. So Diane, take it away.
Okay, so in a little minute we're going to play a video. I've never done this before, so hopefully it hopefully it works. But we're going to play a video, a sped up video of me creating a visual for our classroom for tomorrow. And I'm going to kind of talk you through my thought process while I'm making it, but also like how to do it. But before we do that, I want to talk just for a minute. I want to talk about something called PECS, P-E-C-S, PECS. PECS stands for the Picture Exchange Communication System, PECS. And it is a tool, I'm going to read directly from the website in a minute, but it is a tool that children that have speech delays or are nonverbal, it's a system that they can use as a means of communicating, okay? Another option would be an ACC device, which is similar to a PECS, but it's all automated. So a child would hit a picture and it would say a word, okay? So we can't really necessarily provide as the church an ACC device for our students, right? They're very expensive. Most kids get them on insurance. But we can implement a PECS system in our classrooms. A lot of the visuals that you see out here, the rules sort of, definitely the visual schedule is an example, a loose example of a PECS. So let me read this first. And this will make more sense when we get into the video, but the Picture Exchange Communication System, or PECS, allows people with little or no communication abilities to communicate using pictures. People using PECS are taught to approach another person and give them a picture of a desired item in exchange for that item. By doing so, the person is able to initiate communication. A child or adult with autism, this is an autism website, not just autistic people use PECS though. Now I lost my spot. Oh, a child or adult with autism can use PECS to communicate a request, a thought, or anything that can reasonably be displayed or symbolized on a picture card. PECS works well in the home or in the classroom. So a perfect example of how you could use PECS in your classroom would be an emotion board, right? You can make, in fact, this is not a plug for Disney, I promise, but the Disney movie Inside Out, phenomenal for expressing emotions for kids that are nonverbal or struggle verbally. That movie in particular helped my son because it made emotions have a face, right? So there were times where he would just show me the anger little guy. They did a whole thing on it at school. And I'd be like, oh, you're feeling mad. Or he'd bring me the little blue girl. Oh, you're feeling sad. So he was verbal-ish at this point, but not, we would say he wasn't functionally verbal. So he couldn't come up to me. Even now, he struggles with saying he's mad right now. And I'm like, why are you mad? Because I throw. No, that's what you did. Why are you mad? And he can't tell me, right? So even though he's verbal, he still struggles with communicating, especially some things that are on a little bit of a deeper level than I love my cats, right? You can do that one very well. So it's just a system that if you're not in that world, you don't know exists, okay? So that's why I wanted to share it today. And I do use it, or the idea of it, when I make some of my visuals. It says, I'm not going to read all the history of it. You can look it up if you want to. But it says here, studies have shown that PECS can decrease tantrums and odd behaviors. For example, an individual may cry because they are thirsty. However, a parent or teacher may not understand why they are crying, and as a result, their needs will remain unmet. However, if an individual has access to communication pictures, they can quickly communicate their need. So we had a series of PECS for AJ, like I want, and then whatever. So I want a drink, or I want a break, or I want to go outside, or I want whatever. And then you think about how you could incorporate that into your church classroom. If you have a child that struggles to communicate, they may be verbal, but in a moment of being dysregulated, when my son gets dysregulated, his language processing shuts down. He can't talk anymore. Or he'll just stim, right? He also has this, I won't get into all of this. If you're a nerd, you can look this up. It's called Gestalt processing. That's what my son has. So he will quote lines from a book or lines from a movie, lines from a TV show in order to express something that he's thinking or feeling. And if I don't happen to know, maybe it's a book they read at school, I have no idea what he's talking about, even though he's talking, right? He could be talking a completely different language. But if he had a picture, then we could use that, right? And it helps you live in the same world, okay? Because there are times we could be living in the same house, but we are not living in the same world. And so it can be like that in your classroom too. So we're going to run the first little bit of the video, guys. I'm just going to show you. Can you all see that? Mm-hmm. Hang on, let me pull the screen just for a second. These are some examples on Teacher Pay Teacher of PECs. Some are free, some are paid. Now this would be used a lot in a traditional classroom, right? But obviously we're probably going to not use most of those in our Sunday school class. But I just wanted you to see the idea. Feelings are a good one. Rules are good. This is a good one. So this one, for example, you could use something like this similar in your class. We do this with AJ. If he made a mistake, or if I feel mad, I can, and then pictures of the choices of what he could do, right? So if you have a student that's dealing with a particular behavior every week, could you maybe make a visual for them so that you or your helper could work through it with them? Oh, you feel mad. When we're mad, we can take a breath. We can take a break. We can count to 10. And you have that as a visual, because when they're in that state of dysregulation, they're not going to be able to communicate with you the same way. And so having something like that, did you guys pause it? Oh, you can keep going.
Oh, okay.
I can talk and talk and talk, so you can. Yeah, so these are just some ideas. Okay, you can pause it here now. So that's an idea of a PEC system. It's not like one thing where you go to a store and you buy a PEC system. It's a generalized idea, okay? Now there are some, I think I'll show you at the end of the video, there are some websites that have some that are free. There are some that are paid, but there's a lot that's free. If you go on Pinterest, if you go on Teacher Pay Teacher, if you just do a basic search, you'll find a lot that are free. I don't think I've paid for a visual ever. What was I going to say? I lost my train of thought. Okay, we'll come back to that. But what I'm going to show you now is a video of me using Canva to make our Bible memory verse. I'm actually going to make the one we're using tomorrow. So I'm going to walk you through how to do this on Canva. Now, if you don't know, Canva is free to use for anybody. But if you are a church, you can get a free premium account. So just talk to your pastor about signing your church up. You can get a free premium account to Canva, which gives you access to absolutely everything that they have to offer. Canva is a fantastic tool for churches. So if we go ahead and play this next video. So I'm just going to show you exactly what I did to make the visual that we're going to use tomorrow for our Sunday school class. So you want to start a new document, and I just tend to do an 8.5 by 11. So the way I do it, just because I'm extra, I start with my paper, I put my square in the middle, and then the outside, I turn a color, okay? And that helps me because when I'm filing them, I just know, like, the colors tell me they're different from each other, right? Now, once you've done this once, now every time I just pull up the last one and I just change the pictures and I change the color, okay? So I don't have to do this every time. I did this for you all so you all could see how I do it. Okay, so I just made a square. That's what I'm doing. That's what these are. Oops. Trying to do this with one hand. These are the squares, right? So I'm just putting the squares. I tend to only do 6. You'll see what I do in a minute with the words, but I tend to not do more than 6 squares because it just gets to be too much for the kids. It is too much for me. I don't want to do any more than 6. And honestly, at the age of kids that we're teaching, this is not meant to help your kids learn the Lord's Prayer or Psalm 23 necessarily, right? We're talking about a Bible verse that we're teaching in our junior church class. So I just did another text box, and then I put memory verse in the top there. So this is like my template. When I go to make my next one, I won't do this every time, right? This is already there. The memory verse, all of that's already there. All I'm going to change is the actual verse and the pictures, okay? Just so that you see, it's not, the first time you set it up is going to be the longest it takes you. After that, it's quicker. So then I do a little text box at the top, and in that text box, I put the actual King James Version verse, okay? Because I do think that's important. So this I would change, obviously, for every new verse. What you see on the screen right now, the colors, the boxes, the memory verse, that's going to stay the same. I'm just going to change out the verse every 3 weeks. And then I'm going to, in the little boxes, I'm going to put my images, okay? And this is where the PECS system comes into play, because what you want to do when you're thinking about picturizing a memory verse is you want to think about the essence of the word, okay? That's what PECS do. So, for example, I try to do anything that's Jesus. This verse, obviously, the Son of Man. So I'm not going to put a son and a man, right? That's technically what the words are, son and man, but who are we talking about? We're talking about Jesus. So I'm going to put, for the pictures, I'm going to make them the essence of what the verse is talking about. Underneath, I'm going to have the actual words from the verse. Does that make sense? Okay. So the one thing that I do that helps me with this is I have a lady in our church who is an interpreter for the deaf. And if you think about the PECS system, it's very similar to sign language. So if I have a word that I'm just like, I can't think of what picture to make for this word, I'll ask my friend Marsha, I'll be like, how would you sign this word? And she'll show me, and sometimes that'll be like, oh, okay, that makes sense. I can do a picture that explains the word, right? So you're not necessarily putting in the picture that is exactly the word. Like I said, you're not going to put a son of a man because the kids that's not giving them the meaning of the verse. So I'm just putting, for each square, I'm putting what section of the verse that picture covers. Do you all see that? Mm-hmm. So I have the Son of Man is come to seek and to save that which was lost. Okay? So same with sign language. If you were signing this, you would not sign is come. You would sign come. Or however, I'm not a sign language expert, but however you would sign. We don't sign each individual word in ASL. So picture systems are kind of the same idea. Now, I always use the same image for Jesus because over time the kids are like, oh, it's Jesus, right? So they start to recognize that. We'll get into a little bit more what we can do with those in a little bit. So for come, I just did like, the shaky finger. Come here. Sometimes it takes a little bit of trial and error. Sometimes they're awful. You'll see in a minute. You'll see. I was like, oh, this is not good. I can't believe I'm recording this. What in the world? So sometimes I'll look just to see if I can have a better idea. But I really do think that that was the best one. Because you have to remember, we're talking about kids who have a language delay too, right? Nonverbal or language delay. So you think about how you would speak to a toddler versus how you would speak to an adult, right? Helping, like, kind of put yourself inside their mind a little bit is helpful. So seek was pretty easy. I think I just did a man with the binoculars. Because he's looking for him, right? Jesus came to look for us. See what I mean? How you really have to get inside the meaning of the verse. I will pull out my other ones, and I'll have them out here so you can see kind of what I did. Actually, Adam, are you there?
I'm right here.
Can you go in that file box that's under the table? There's a file that says classroom visuals. And I like the cartoons. It keeps it, that clip art. It keeps it fun. Let me see. Oh, this was a hard one. The one we just did. Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart and with all thy soul. I'm like, how do I do a picture for soul? I was like, oh boy, I should have thought about the picture before I picked the memory verse, right? But so I was talking to my husband, and he was like, well, your soul is like who you are on the inside, right? So I don't know if y'all can see this, but it's just like a little, like the person with like the light inside of themselves, So, but sometimes you have to get a little creative, like, oh, how would I put that in a picture? This was really interesting. It's because it's just, there's nothing new here, right? I'm just looking for pictures. But this one was interesting. He is not here, for he is risen as he said. So again, I'm not going to put he. Who is it talking about? It's talking about Jesus. So I did, there's my same Jesus. He is not here. Where? The tomb. So I didn't put peck for here would be like a person pointing like this here. But for me, I'm trying to relay the meaning of the verse. So he is not here, meaning he's not in the tomb. So I put a tomb, for he is risen. I did this with my son, and I asked him, I was like, well, who is risen? Because it doesn't say Jesus is risen. I said, who is risen? He goes, Jesus is risen. And I was like, that's right. So it's just kind of neat to see how it visualizes the Bible for them a little bit. And you have to be careful. We want to be careful we're not taking liberties that we're not saying something that God didn't say, right? But I think there's a way to do both. Okay, now we're going to enter the world of AI, which is a little scary sometimes. But I was struggling with, I think the two I had left were to save. Actually, this one I was really looking for that which. I'm like, how do I do a visual for that which? So I asked Grok. You can ask ChatGPT. Grok is terrible at making visuals. I'm just going to warn you. You're going to laugh. They're horrible. But Grok kind of gives me the essence of what the word is trying to say, right? So Grok suggests that I do this image. Hang on. It's quite funny. I told my husband, I was like, I don't know, should we take this out? But I do want you to see the process, right? So don't worry, it's nothing bad. Okay, you're probably not going to use that visual, right? But it did help me realize, oh, instead of saying that which, I could say this one, right? That one. So it helped my thought process more than it helped actually give me a visual. It gave me several that were terrible. Creepy. Who said creepy? Yeah. It was creepy. It's creepy. It was creepy. Oh, there was more too. I cut it out because they got creepier and creepier. I was like, this looks like a horror movie. Okay, so now I start looking for this one. And of course, it just gives me the number 1. And I'm like, no, that's not what I want either. So this is a little bit better, this one, but it's not really fitting the verse. So this is where PEX comes in, okay? Because a PEX system would have an image for this one. because that would be a very common word or phrase that a child that uses a PEX system would use. They would say, I want this one, right? So they would maybe bring the book and this one, I want this one, to their teacher. So here's a perfect example of a PEX image. This, these, that, those. Okay? So that fits well with the meaning of the verse, right? So all I did was save it to my computer, and then I uploaded it onto Canva, and then I can just size it and put it in the box. And then for save, of course, we understand it's talking about salvation. But I'm like, how can I picture that, right? Understanding that when we teach this memory verse, we're also teaching the meaning of it, right? I'm not just handing the kids this thing and say, hey, go memorize this. I'm explaining to them. So there was a couple I pulled up, the firefighter is saving the little boy, and then the one I ended up using is the man drowning. And because I mean, pastors, how many times do we use that illustration in a sermon, right? That we were drowning and Jesus saved us. So I thought, okay, that's probably a good one. And then as I go through it in the class, I will explain to them, now Jesus didn't really save us from drowning. He saved us from our sin. He saved us from hell. And I would explain that a little bit more to them, but it just helps have that idea, that picture. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate it. So there's a little plus sign at the top there, the two boxes with the plus sign. And I'm going to make 2 copies, and then on the second one, I'm going to delete all the pictures. And I'm going to show you why in a minute. And then I'm just going to save it to my computer, and then I'm going to print it out. So now next time, all I have to do is change the text boxes and the actual pictures, right? But I have my what's the word? Template, thank you. I have my template. And honestly, that didn't take that long, right? Sometimes finding the images are the hardest ones. But again, that's why thinking about it earlier in the week is helpful, because I'll be mulling it over. Like I already know, you can pause it now, guys, thanks. I already know what my next several memory verses are. So if I already see that there are some trouble words, I'll think about it. I'll pray on it. Lord, help me. What do I do here? You know, I want to handle the Word of God carefully, right? So the reason why I print 2 is because this is the blank one. This is the one with the words. So I'll go in and I'll cut these out, okay? And then I'll laminate all of them so that they go on and off. And these are just Velcro dots. But if you don't do, if you just do 2 like this, then the kids always know what they're supposed to put on, right? You have to do a blank one, otherwise you're giving them the answer. And these are the Velcro dots. I just get these on Amazon. Honestly, your biggest budget will be Velcro dots and lamination and binder clips. I use those every single week. So that's how I would make a memory verse visual. So these are the ones ready for tomorrow. I always make 2 because, like I said, I keep one in the classroom, and then our other little girl takes one home so mom can practice with her. But you also can make the visual schedule exactly the same way, right? Except I just did it up and down, and I did smaller boxes. But that visual schedule, it's exactly the same process, just different visuals, right? So you just would make it exactly the same way. The prayer choice board, same process, right? So the other things I bought made the way they were, but those things are the ones that I've made, and that similar process is what I used for all of those. You just tweak it for the need, right? Okay. You guys can go ahead and press play, please. Thank you. So now we're on ChatGPT. So I'm asking ChatGPT to build me a database, essentially, of common Bible words that we might use in Bible verses. This can save you so much time than having to search individually for each one, right? Now, it might take you a few days if you're cheap like me and don't want to pay the $25 a month for the premium ChatGPT. So I know I get 5 chats and then I have to put it away till tomorrow. So it might take you a little bit of time. But it's kind of nice because it will kind of guide you on the questions to ask. And the more you do it, the more you are more intuitive, right, into how to ask it to do things. So it's going to make me a set of 20, I think. And ChatGPT gave me the words. So here you go. God, Jesus, Bible, pray, church, cross, angel, love, faith. Oh, it's telling me I've got too many questions today. Forgive, heaven, friend, family, help, light, water, bread, sheep, heart, world. Okay? And then it's literally going to make me a printable PDF. And that's it. Okay? So now I can save that on my computer, and anytime I use angel, I can use the same picture. Anytime I use love, I can use the same picture. Cross, the same picture. Jesus, the same picture. And so you're essentially building your own Christian version of a PECS system. And again, this is not something that you do in one go. It takes time, and you add to it over time. Here are some. So Teacher Pay Teacher did not have any good Christian ones. But we could also use behavioral PECS in our, I was trying to think of what we could specifically use in our church classrooms, right? So first then is very good for a PEC board. First we have music, then we have craft or whatever. You can find lots of behavioral ones on Teacher Pay Teacher. And these would be really good, especially if you have a new little one that has special needs and maybe they have a worker or an aide or mom or dad are with them. They could have their own personal PEC board, right? If you're the only teacher, it's hard to really keep up on that. But if you have a helper with you, this is a great one. And again, I think I said this earlier, but maybe I didn't. This is great to reduce the verbal hum in your classroom. Okay, so can you pause it there, guys? Thank you. So for example, I have my daughter Kaylee works with me in my classroom. If I'm teaching, and our room's not very big, if I'm teaching and she constantly has to say to AJ, quiet body, AJ, calm mouth, AJ this, that causes a hum in the classroom, right? You know what I'm saying? And it also makes the other little kids go, what? They all want to see what's going on. And so it's distracting. If I have somewhat of a PECS system set up, she just shows them the card. So it's not just a way for them to communicate with me, but it's a way for me to communicate also. And it does just reduce that general humming that can happen in the classroom if you're constantly having to talk to a little one about their behavior, right? So it's a great way to just reduce that. I don't know, for me, too much of that and I lose my train of thought. I'm like, where am I? What am I doing? What am I supposed to be saying right now? And so using that with my son has helped because Kaylee can just point to it, or point to the rule. Or like I said, if it's a rule specific, she'll just do a finger number and he knows exactly what she's talking about. So that's a great idea for PECS for the teacher to use with the child, not just for the child to use with the teacher. All right, go ahead. Thank you. Okay, can you pause it right there? Okay, if you want to, take your phone out and take a picture of that, because these are great resources where you can get free PECS. I found this after we had printed the book, so it's not in your book. In a minute, I'm going to take you to the top one and show you how that interface works. Okay, I think we're good. Oh, maybe not yet. No, you're good. It'll stay up for a few minutes more, so you guys can press play. It's okay. Now, I haven't looked at all of these, so I can't vouch for all of them, but this is that first one. So this is PECS like you would use, a special ed teacher would use this in a school, okay? But you might find, like obviously that first one is in, okay? And if you have a child that's used to a PECS board, they will recognize that. This is which one, right? I think this was them or they. Okay, this is where it gets funny. I'm like, oh boy. Okay, so look at this. Wait till you see how much Catholicism. Okay, pause it, guys. 1 second. I was like, really? That's all they could put in the priest's mouth was blah, blah, blah? Really? Like, not God is love or Jesus loves you, but blah, blah, blah? Go ahead, sorry. I just thought that was funny. I literally left this in because, I mean, the hell stuff's pretty scary. Like, are you kidding me? The all-seeing eye, apparently. So, yeah, it's a little bit of a hit or miss. I told my husband, I said, I need to find a good artist that wants to work with me, and we will make an entire Baptist version of PECS. It would be awesome. I would love it. Okay. I think there's one more. Is there one more? Okay, good. Okay, so here's some generic PECS. Through, under, over, beside, on top, just generic stuff. Who, pretty much any word you could think of, you can, if you go to one of these websites, you can find a PEC for it. And then here are some free PECs on Teacher Pay Teacher. I think we already showed this.
This is the beginning of it again.
Oh, okay. I was like, wait, I think I already did this. Yeah, you can pause it then. Thank you. Okay, so like I said, this is literally a drop in the bucket, right? This is, I mean, we could do an entire day of workshops just on this, and it's not a system my son has ever fully used. There's so much more to it. The one thing I did want to just mention really quick is that just because you're using a visual doesn't mean you're using PECS, okay? What do I mean by that? This is not a PECS. Okay, this is a visual. This is a PECS, okay? So that's why I think if you're wanting specific pictures for generic use for over time, search specifically for PECS, right? If you're just wanting a generic picture of something, then just search for an image for that thing. But PECS is and the only reason I say that is because I want to be very careful that I handle the PECS system respectfully, because there are literally people that can't communicate without it. So I don't want to make light of it, if that makes sense. It's a very thought out, it's a very scientific, if we got into the science of it, it's a very scientific system. Kids start at a certain level and work all the way up to level 6, okay? We don't need to worry about that for our purposes. We're not teachers, or it would really be if your child needed to use it. But I think we can glean from it, right? Like most of the things in the special ed world, we can glean from it and see how we could use it best in our particular situation.